Good morning, sir, or good
Hey,
afternoon.
buddy. Good
How are you,
good
man?
morning, good day, and good afternoon.
There you go. And good evening.
And good evening, depending on where you are.
Of course. How's it going, man?
I'm good. I'm trying to figure out how to do this without having my arm fall asleep. I don't know how I did it last time.
I think you did like how I did it. What I do is I just keep it on the stand on the computer here.
Got it. My setup, I have a whole, because of COVID, obviously, I have like, there's a HD camera there, lights there. I got a TV that broadcasts over here. I got a monitor. I don't know if you can see that over here. Laptop here. And I usually have something that's a little bit higher. And I'm going to see what I can do. And I can't put my phone to the side, right? Because if I do, it'll be weird. Anyway,
It will be
it's okay.
this.
I'll just have a crappy.
If you put on the side.
Yeah, I don't want to have that happen. It's okay. I'll deal with it.
Or just say, okay, and we'll figure it out.
It's all good.
It's all
good. It's all good.
How's the weather in Florida?
Great. It's a little chilly. It's high 20s. A little sad that it's not in the 30s yet, but yeah.
That's Celsius, not Fahrenheit.
Celsius, yes.
Of course.
I'm speaking Celsius because I'm from Montreal. Tabarnak, I'm going to speak Canadian while I am here,
Esti. There you go.
See.
So for the people that are wondering, why is Marco, again, second time on the live? Well, for the first one, we didn't record it. Okay? That's the first one. But the second one, there you go. But the second reason is you cannot have enough of Marco. Right?
I don't know about that. I'm happy to, for those of you that have seen me before, I hope this is not as annoying as the first time. And for the newbies, this is going to be really annoying, but a lot of fun at the same time.
Well, it's going to be great. There you go. It's going to be great content. And Nick is asking, because you said Montreal. Gatineau or Montreal? Big difference.
I actually on Melville Street, 229 Melville is where I was brought up, which is in Westmount NDG area, right on the border of Westmount and NDG. So that's where I spent the first few years of my life. And then when I was, I think in 10, 11, I moved over to Gatineau.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
So Marco, talk to us. For the people that don't know you, okay, it's been 20 years. You sell insurance, right?
No, I don't sell insurance. Well, I do. I don't actually sell anything. I give people the opportunity to insure their lives for the future by buying the right assets that will take care of them forever through cash flow. So
yes. I
help others buy cash flowing property that make more than they need. So if you need $10,000 a month, then let's get you some assets that generate more than $10,000 a month, US, even if you live in Canada. Pay less tax, develop some great, some assets that will keep your family healthy financially and wealthy financially that you can pass down from generation to generation. And do it without using a nickel of your own money. Don't need credit, don't need to be an American. I'm Canadian, and you can really do this from anywhere. Even in Montreal during these, these interesting times, we purchased quite a bit of property. And Nick and both you and Nick, Jimmy, you've experienced firsthand what I do, how I do it, my approach. I know that you had a lot of questions when we first met.
Of course.
A lot of skepticism, which is completely healthy and normal. And you know what we do, how we do it, and I think what we do is is the real thing. There's no bullshit with
100. It's hands-on. You're in the trenches. You're not one of those that just sell your courses and you're in the dark by yourself. You want, and I could see it and I feel it. You want your people to succeed. You want your people.
I do. I want everyone to achieve a level of financial success that they've never had before. No, there's going to be work involved,
of course,
which that can piss people off that think it's get rich quick. It's not.
It's get rich slow.
It's get rich right. It's not necessarily. It's define slow. It's within 3 years. Most people will be able to quit their jobs, never work again, only do what they love within a 3-year period of time. And that's not quick, but it's not slow either. So it's just the right amount of time.
Well, get rich slow or get rich right. At least it's better than not getting rich at all, right?
This is true. Well, if you work for someone else, you're definitely not getting rich ever. That's 100%. You're taxed at the highest level. You have no freedom. You're somebody else's bitch for the rest of your life, and that's really not the solution. And some people that have their own businesses, they can't even step away from their own business because they're working for their business. They're their own boss, but their boss is a complete asshole. You have to do everything, and that's dangerous as well. Where in this business, you're buying an asset that is managed. You're not managing properties. Someone else is doing the work. Someone else is basically doing all the heavy lifting, and you're just managing one manager that manages your assets.
You're managing the managers.
Correct.
Okay. So before we go on with questions, and we have a lot of questions, I'm pretty sure a lot of people have questions. We're going to drill you, that's for sure. Now, what's your story? So you've been a real estate buyer, for a cash flow buyer, for how long now? 20 years?
I started, I was in the real estate business. Well, I've been in the real estate business, or a part of it, for 21 years. I started in 99, bought my first property in 99. It's 2020 now, so that's 21 years, which is bananas. And, I started small, like most people do, single families. From single families, went into larger properties. Economy crashed in 08, 09. Everything fell apart. Wheels fell off the wagon. Was actually homeless. And then developed processes to buy multifamilies, mobile home parks, hotels. I have a fairly large hotel portfolio, as well as, any assisted living facilities, memory care facilities, anything that really makes a significant cash flow that I can buy without using my own money. That's really what I care about. If these things were in Zimbabwe, I'd be okay with that. I don't really care where the money comes from, as long as I can take that cash flow and use it to feed my family.
So you have a couple of senior homes?
Yeah. Yeah.
Any are they affected, a few of them, COVID-19?
Everything's affected by COVID. And I don't want to get into a political discussion as to, what my beliefs are around that, but, everything has been affected, from my hospitality, where, our revenue is significantly less. And some of my multifamily assets haven't been affected at all, because they're Section 8 or HUD, which is guaranteed money from the government, right? Yeah. So as long as the person's there, they're going to pay. And even if they're not there, they're still going to pay because they have a lease. So there's a lot of ways that you can shield yourself from an economic downturn, side turn, up and down. There's a lot of fear around a lot of things that could happen. I don't worry about what could happen. I just want to know that I'm buying the right asset at the right price, which is paramount. I'm not using my own money, my own credit. I'm not putting my own name at risk. And no matter what happens, I'm still going to be making cash flow. And that's really the secret, is how can I buy the right property at the right price and make cash flow no matter what?
There you go. Here's one question that we have, because a few people texted us. So you sell seminars, you sell courses. So for somebody that has so many doors, right? Why sell seminars? Why go out of your way and sell courses?
Well, I don't like the word sell to begin with. I don't really sell anything.
Offer.
I give people an opportunity to learn this stuff. And if they wanted, and there's a price of entry, I don't give it away, because anything that's given for free, people don't appreciate. I busted my ass for 21 years. I've been in the line of fire. I've been shit on by, everyone that you can think of, over, a hard slog. Any successful person is going to have, a lot of challenges to get through, to learn these things through trial and error, because anything that's new, you have to, there's a trial and error process.
Absolutely.
And, it hasn't been an uphill journey all the time. It's up and down, a lot of trials, tribulations. Like I said, I've been, for every 1,000 people that love me, there's one that absolutely can't stand me for whatever reason. And there's a price of entry. And if you don't pay the price, you're not going to get in. So, I offer people an opportunity to learn this stuff. Our whole team is dedicated to your success, as you have discovered firsthand, both you and Nick.
100%.
And we're in it to win it. We're going to show up, and we want to know that if someone wants to learn this stuff, that they're going to be committed as well. And that's through, there's a financial contribution that comes to that, because I obviously have to take care of the people that are taking care of you guys, and there's a cost to that. So it's not free, it's not cheap, but if you do it, there's a result in, that happens. Because the way that I structured things, if you take a seminar, generally you take the seminar and whatever happens, you've paid the fee. Our organization is more on a result based, where if you pay a fee, we're going to help you until you get that result.
And I see that, yes.
Yeah. So if it takes you 3 days, it takes you 3 months or 3 years, we're behind you every step of the way until you get that result. No time limit. So it's a different way of looking at things. So the question is, why am I doing it? Well, I have more money than I need on a monthly basis. And what am I going to do? Play golf all day long? Absolutely not. Travel? I do that already. What am I going to do? I'm bored as hell. Like I need
stimulation. You want to give back.
If I don't get stimulated, I turn to drugs and alcohol. That's the short answer. So I can either self-destruct, or I can take my energy that I have, and it's a lot of it, and really and work with the right people that really want to learn this. And what gets me up in the morning is seeing someone like you, Jimmy, who wants to build a portfolio, who wants to work hard, and just wants the right answers at the right time. And I'm helping and serving you, and
absolutely,
you're seeing the results on a daily basis. So that's really 100%. What gets me up in the morning. Yeah.
And we appreciate that. Thank you. Let's talk about the U.S. market. I remember I think last week on your seller's call, you said the U.S. market, the U.S. Buying U.S. real estate is for the rich, not for the rich. It's built for the rich, right?
Well, you have tax deductions
yes.
It's totally different than Canada. So, the money is a lot easier to find in the U.S. than it is in Canada. All right, there's a much better lending opportunity. There's 5 banks in Canada. There's thousands of banks in the U.S. There's asset-based lending in the U.S., which is a loan based on the value of the asset, not on your credit. So if the business makes money, and you can buy the business without using any of your money, because it's a loan based on the money coming in from the business, right? It's not based on you and your credit worthiness. The U.S. has better tax savings, meaning that every $1 million of property that you own in the U.S. is $36,000 or so of tax you don't have to pay. Which means that if you make, $40,000 on your property, and you have a $36,000 deduction, you actually don't pay any tax at all, because you're not at the threshold where you have to pay tax. So the more property you own, the less tax you pay. And the rules have been written for the wealthy, because most people that buy property are, in that wealthy category. And I'm not talking about your own personal residence, because that's actually technically a liability. Your own personal residence is not an asset; it's actually a liability. Because you have to pay for it, right? Now, there's different schools of thought on this, but if it's not a positive cash flow, if you actually have to pay for it, then it's a liability. That's it.
It's like a car.
If it's making you money, it's an asset. If it's losing you money, if you stop paying your mortgage, you're going to lose your house. It's a liability. Okay, there's equity in it, but still, that we can have that debate later. But you can deduct, you have depreciation. You can deduct interest payments. There's so many little things that you can do in the U.S. with deductions that you just can't do it. The CRA just doesn't give you at all, and the tax basis is way less. Like, you're paying 15% on passive income after deductions, and that's technically going to be close to zero if you do it right.
A couple of questions here. One guy, Joe D. Frank. Are you buying the property with an LLC?
Nope, not as a Canadian.
So as a Canadian,
if you're buying a property as a Canadian in an LLC, you're actually going to get taxed as a flow through in the U.S. personally.
Dual. Yeah.
And then the Canadian government's going to smack you in the head with another tax. That's a business tax. You're actually going to pay almost 80% tax in an LLC. It's terrible advice if you've ever heard someone say buy property in an LLC, specifically as a Canadian. Don't ever do that.
So what's the solution?
There's a lot of solutions. It's a complicated solution, but those that come that do really want to learn this, we actually go in that on the second day on those tax structures. For me, just to say here's a solution without really you understanding the whole solution, which will take more than the time that we have, is irresponsible. It's like giving you a gun with bullets and you don't know where the trigger is, and say just don't hurt yourself. It's not something I want to do.
Got it. Nick has a very good question. Is it true that you can deduct all your real estate expenses, such as mortgage and depreciation, against your personal income?
If it's set up right, yes.
Okay, I think the reason why he's asking that, because Donald Trump's son never paid taxes.
And that's how it should be. Again, it's not paying. It's paying the right. It's legally, morally, and ethically play by the rules. And if you do it right, if you have real estate, only if you have real estate can you actually make that happen. It's the only thing that I know where you can not use your own money, get all the deductions, still make a lot of cash flow, and have all the freedom that you want to do whatever you want. And the only thing stopping you from buying as much real estate as you want is knowledge. It's not money, it's not credit, it's just knowledge. If you don't know it, you don't do it. And you're afraid of it, you're finding a reason why you're not going to do it. And that's the tragedy is there's a lot of control and fear. Fear is a great controller. If you're afraid of something, you don't do it. And most people have been bred to find the reasons why it won't work. And I know there's a lot of charlatans out there and a lot of, people that really don't know what the fuck they're doing. I don't know if I can say that, but there are. It's just a reality, for every, same thing with lawyers, same thing with, women, men, a lot of great women out there. And, some women are just not nice to date at all. So, it's just, it doesn't mean all women are bad. It's just that one is terrible. That's all.
There you go. So let's talk about the $0 down, zero money down. Like people are wondering, like, what's the catch around it? For sure, there's like at least a couple of $1,000 that's going to come out of your pocket, right? When you say $0 down, tell us more about that. For the people that don't understand what you're saying.
So it's fairly simple. It's asset-based lending, which means that if the value of the asset, let's say, is $1 million, an asset-based lender will give you $700,000, up to 70% of the value of the asset. Okay, so if it's worth $1 million and it makes, let's say, $100,000 a year of passive income, net, not gross, net, and they value this at $1 million, they're going to give you $700,000. All right, so I'm just using round numbers. We're not getting into market caps and all that, complicated stuff. It makes $100,000 a year. It's been making $100,000 a year. It's worth $1 million. They're going to give you $700,000. That the person that's selling that, they choose how much they want to sell it for. So if they need the money tomorrow, like next week, because they have a dire need, not to wait for $1 million, but they need the money as quickly as possible, just like a pawn shop, they're going to have to give away equity,
which is part of the 5 Ds, right?
Yeah, for whatever reason, they just need to sell quickly, right? And they say, give me $600,000 for this thing. That's under $700,000, which means that you could give them $600,000. You pay all the closing costs through up to $700,000 because everything can be rolled in, and you have no money out of pocket. And the cost of the money might cost you, let's say, $40,000 for that. So you're paying $40,000 a year in interest for the money, but the property makes $100,000 a year, so you're still left with 60, right? So if the money costs you 40 and the property makes you 60. Property makes you 100, you're left with 60, which means you just bought an asset with no money out of your pocket and made 60 grand a year for the rest of your life. So, that's basically the long and short of it. Now, how we find those assets is the fun part. There's a process around that, which, you're quite familiar with and still learning. Yes. It's not as easy. It sounds simple, but it's not easy. Like there's a process to find these assets, and sometimes you find one that's literally 50 cents on the dollar, but you never want to touch it because there's all sorts of booby traps in that. So it's not only finding the right asset, it's finding the right asset in the right area with the right opportunities for an upside, because not only are we going to buy it, but we're going to also eventually optimize it to refinance it and pull out as much cash as we can. Tax-free.
Tax-free, beautiful. Joe D. Frank, 38. Asset-based lending only apply to physical property, or can it be for a business with no property?
Asset-based lenders that I have access to, that I've, pardon the expression, been fluffing the nuts for the last, 15 years and have relationships with, is only on property. No property, no deal.
Got it. And any recent success stories?
Lots. Lots and lots. If they tune into the seller call, they can hear them on a weekly basis. I have. And
your seller call is what? Every Tuesday at 9 p.m. It's open to everyone?
Sellercalls.com. Go to sellercalls.com and bring them right into registering for that.
Perfect. Tell us about the Red Sox story. I know you mentioned it the other time, but if you want to share it with everyone, it's quite
Red Sox
inspiring.
story.
It's quite inspiring.
Well, I was basically homeless after my spouse decided to take every penny that I had, and I went into basically a 3-day bender of self-destruction because I went from having all the money that I needed to zero. And this is during 2009 when, you know, the economy was terrible. And actually, after 3 days of not sleeping and, you know, doing every imaginable substance you can think of at the same time, met a homeless man, and he asked me for money. And I went into my pocket with absolutely no hand-eye coordination whatsoever. And, you know, it dropped, and I basically kicked it over to him. He kicked it back to me, and he told me that I probably needed it more than he did. I thought that was actually strange. That was like the first slap in the face. And actually, when he saw me, he went, ugh. Now, when a homeless man looks at you and goes, ugh, you know you look like shit. So that was wake-up call number one. The second one was he didn't want the money. So we played this weird, you know, kick the dollar bill back and forth until I basically gave up and I started walking away. And then he said, "You should try wearing red socks for a while." I thought he said, "You should try wearing red socks." I think that's what he said. And that actually haunted me when I woke up the next day or 2 days later, whenever that was, because I had basically lost my will to live because I was so attached to the money that I had in my account that was taken. I'm talking millions of dollars here. It was substantial. So I was pretty sad, and I basically had this thing haunted. This wear red socks haunted me for quite some time. Eventually bought a pair of red socks that came from Australia. I still actually wear the same socks to this day. I think I gave you a pair last time I saw you.
Yeah.
These, and they're from Australia. There's, you know, I don't know if you can see that, but it says made in Australia, right? In the back.
There you go.
All right. I don't know if you can see that.
Yep.
So yeah, so they're made in Australia. I bought them for the first time at that point. I wore them, and nothing obviously happened when I first put them on. I got a phone call later that evening from a good friend of mine who, you know, had just started a business, had started a family, and on that phone call, I went from being a poor me, talking about my problems, you know, dragging it like a drowning person. When they're drowning, they pull everyone down. I don't know if you know anyone like that, but they're always talking about their problems. And for the first time, and I would say almost a month since the disaster happened, I was present for my friend. I was asking him questions, helping him with parenting. I was just present. I was serving. I was it wasn't about me. It was really about him and his family and how I could help my best friend, because I hadn't talked to him at all. And then he asked me, you know, how you been? Because I hadn't talked to him in a while, so he had no idea what was going on. So then I burst into tears, and I, you know, opened up and told him what happened. And I basically told him I wanted to end my life because I was so miserable. And he basically, you know, at the end of the conversation, he says, you know, dude, you've always been awesome to me. You know, I've been saving a lot. I have a family. If I take every penny I have, I can give you 50,000, like right now, if you want, and get you out of this, if that will help. And for him to give me 50,000 is like anyone else, like it's literally like $1 million to this guy. Like 50,000 is his entire life. And it touched me so much, I started crying, and, you know, and I couldn't believe, you know, I was so thankful. I told him I didn't know if I could ever pay him back. He says, look, you're always going to take care of me. I trust you. And at the end of the conversation, as I'm in tears, I look down and I see my red socks, which I've been wearing all day. And to me, it was like, what changed? What was the shift? And it was about serving, giving back, not being, you know, poor me. So ever since that day, when I wear red socks, I remember that moment. It brings me back to that moment of not being all about me and my problems, but how can I serve and help as many people as possible? And that's kind of where my Red Sox movement came in. So anyone that comes to my class, sorry, my arm is falling asleep. Anyone that comes to my class, they get Red Sox, and you know, they understand the story, because we're really in the helping people business. We're not in the real estate business. And if we help enough people, you make it all the money that you need. So money is just a reward for helping others. That's all it is.
There you go. So at that was your aha moment, basically, the Red Sox.
It was.
There you go. So thanks for sharing, man. Really appreciate that. Now let's talk about your training techniques. If somebody takes your course, for example, and follows through and everything, can your technique, your creative techniques and everything, can be implied in Canada, can be implied anywhere in the world?
Anywhere in the world. The only caveat is, of course, on the negotiation side, it can be applied to anything.
Mm-hmm.
From a control perspective, you have a lot more control in the conversation because these are universal. You know, I teach more than real, as I said, real estate. There's a lot of psychology that's involved when someone is wanting to do things. So, you know, can you buy cars better, houses better, negotiate with your in your business better, have better conversations with your spouse, your boss, your employees? Absolutely, because you learn how to communicate in a way that is not, where you're very clear in your conversation as to what you're trying to accomplish. I think I just lost you.
Yeah,
So yes, you can apply everything that I do to everything in your life. And I don't want to sound like, you know, je me pète les bretelles in French, where I'm bragging, because I'm really not that kind of person. I don't want to brag, but when you have certain skill sets, you can do a lot, and you're free to make as much money as you want, wherever you want, however you want.
Yeah. And how do you work on yourself? How do you work on your skill set? Do you read books? Do you
I read a lot. I listen to audiobooks. I'm also on the phone constantly helping others, where I record everything that I do, and I listen to, you know, what worked, what didn't work, how can I improve. There's a lot of effort going into how can I improve me on a daily basis. Because if I'm not growing, I'm dying. And if I can't serve and help others unless I become the best version of myself on a daily basis.
Mm-hmm. So for somebody that in your shoes, what's your daily activity? You wake up in the morning, what do you do?
I wake up at the crack of noon. I scratch, go back to bed. It depends. Like on Mondays, generally, I don't do anything. I catch up on anything that I need to get done.
But do you speak to your managers on a daily basis, or you have like a 1 week window?
I actually have Brent, who's on my team, that talks to my managers. So my life is going to be different than most because I have people for the things that I don't want to do.
Okay.
So I have a team of people that just do the shit I don't want to get done. So I only do what I love, and anything I don't want to do, I delegate. I delegate. So technically what I have to do on a daily basis is pretty much nothing. What I enjoy doing is, you know, if just keeping my commitments. Like if I say, Jimmy, I need you to give me this, you know, so I can take a look at how you structured this email. And I do that 10 times, and I'll go through my email and structure that. I like to walk. I like to read. I like to, you know, I live on a lake, so I can go jet skiing, or I can, you know, do whatever I want to do. But every day is different. I don't have like a ritual on a daily basis. I kind of go where the wind takes me, which drives.
You wing it.
I do. And, you know, I have a set schedule where Tuesday, Wednesdays, and Thursdays I mentor. I don't on Friday. Like this week, I'm teaching a class called Success Reflex, which is Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday during the day. That's a lot of fun. I have a handful of people that, you know, where they have no deals going in and a shit ton of deals going out, only in 3 days. Very powerful class. Again, from zero to complete hero in a very short period of time through very specific processes. There's only 10 things that we do, but those 10 things you master in 3 days, which are very powerful. So I enjoy teaching very much. I enjoy that interaction. That's, if I could just do one thing, that would be that.
There you go. Let's talk about this crisis now. Do you think there's going to be a real estate crash?
It already started, and if there is, great. If there isn't, great. No, it doesn't matter. I think it's going to be the best opportunity since 08. I'm not going to say it's going to be like 08, but there's a lot of dominoes that have fallen and a lot of people that are wanting to cash up. And what we're seeing right now is a lot of opportunity in the marketplace. We've put more into contract in the last 45 days than we ever have before. So there's a lot of great opportunity right now to get in, to buy properties at really discounted prices. We have lenders that are actually lending with no interest payments due for 6 months, because they know that if they lend the money, they're going to get, you know, they're basically adding on that interest in the back. So they're not getting it up front. So if they lend $1 million, you have to lend, you know, you pay them back $1.05 million. So that first, you know, year of interest, or, you know, 9 months of interest is tagged onto the back end. So they're still going to get it. They're just going to get it later as opposed to up front. So there's some really cool opportunities that are happening where people can get in on things really, really well. Because the lenders at the end of the day just have a lot of money. Like if you have $2 million in your bank, if you just use that money, it's eventually going to go down, right? So you have 2 million and you just spend it, it's gone. If you have 2 million and you have it work for you, that interest is, money in itself has no value, but if you lend it out and have it work for you, it makes you money. So you want it out as quickly as possible. And there are billions and billions, possibly trillions of dollars of cash that's available to us that are not being used. They're looking for the right people to know how to use it. And that's ultimately what I do, is I train people how to use other people's money wisely.
There you go. And Nick wrote here, where did you learn? I think you already answered this. Where did you learn all your communication techniques and negotiation techniques?
Where did I learn it? Through trial and error, reading a lot of books. There's not one person that I've learned it from. To me, it's kind of obvious. I'm a concert pianist by background, so I think there's some similarities in communication there as far as the musicality of it. To me, it just kind of made sense, and I created something that I could understand, because I'm not that smart. I'm not too smart. I'm not too good, and I want to just make things as simple as possible, but I understand when someone says one thing, they actually mean another. I've been married twice. I understand how I've been communicated to and what was actually meant in that. So I just applied that to what I do on a daily basis.
Are you going to go for number 3?
I'll never say never, but not at this time. I have no desire to get married again. Maybe when I'm 67, 80 or 90 and I want to, have someone to be next to me as I pass on to the next opportunity, maybe then, but for now, no.
There you go. Now, let's talk about hotels. Do you think right now is a good time to buy hotels? What's the best asset class to buy right now, or anything?
The best is such an interesting term. So is it the best time to buy hotels now? Yes, because you're getting them really cheap. Are you going to make money right now? No, you're not going to make any money right now. So if you buy a hotel at 50 cents on the dollar and you make no money for a year, but then you're making a shit ton of money in a year, then now is the best time to buy hotels. If you need to make money right now on a passive income level, don't buy a hotel, because you have to wait a long time before that's going to bear fruit. So best will change to the listener and to what the person's needs are.
Got it. And when do you think it's going to go back to normal? My
crystal ball broke back in the 80s. So I really don't know, but I just know that there's always going to be an opportunity for something. I could always take a hotel, turn it into a weekly. I could take a hotel and turn that into an assisted living facility if I need to. I can take a hotel and turn it into an apartment complex if I have to. Like there's a lot of things that you can do when you know what you can do. I can, give it to a charity, do a master lease to someone that just needs the space. There's so many things that you can do with an asset once you have it to repurpose it to actually, if one thing falls apart, it's not, oh my gosh, it's the end of the world. It's just an opportunity to go into the next thing. I don't see problems. I just see opportunities.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Your ninja training. I'm almost done day 2.
Yeah.
Man, incredible.
Thanks.
How did you get all that content? Honestly, obviously from trials and errors, we all know that, but how long did it take you to master that?
15 years, my friend.
15 years.
Yeah,
man.
15 years. And again, I haven't been doing the same year for 15 years. People have been, just because you've been at something for 20 years doesn't mean you have 20 years of experience. You could have 1 year of experience for 20 times, like the same year of experience. If you've been teaching, and I don't want to put anyone down, that's not my nature. I want everyone to, be the best they can be. And I don't take this the wrong way, anyone that's listening. But I know too many people that have done the same thing for 20 years and say they've been at it for 20 years. You've been at it for 1 year and done the same year 20 times. It's not the same thing. What I teach now is not what I taught 2 years ago or even last year. A lot of the videos and the processes that I put together 2 years ago, I'm changing now because they no longer apply. We're constantly moving forward in, the cutting edge options. Like the Ninja Creative that you're watching now, I have doubled my toolbox since then. That was 2 years ago. So that if COVID wasn't around, I would have taught that I think I would have done that in June, but probably going to do that in September now. So I'll have another Ninja Creative, which will be the same amount of time, but totally different techniques, level 2.
But that video was like 5 years ago, right?
Nope, 2 or 3. Yeah, 2 or 3 years ago. Yeah.
Okay. Okay, I saw Kyle and Jamie there, so I think that was 2 or 3 years, whatever. Okay.
Yeah, 2 or 3 years ago, yeah.
Nick is asking, who do you think is handling the COVID better, Trudeau or Trump?
I don't know. I stopped watching the news. If you turn on the news, it's all bad news. So, and I've been a victim of the media, so I know their slant is going to be whatever they choose. You know, you turn on CNN and they're shitting on Trump all the time. You turn on Fox News and, you know, they're loving Trump. You know, they're literally giving a
You don't know
BJ.
what to believe.
So everyone has their own agenda. So I know how the media operates. As I said, I've been on the sharp end of that stick, and they're gonna choose to report what they want to report, and there's always a hidden agenda. So I'm just gonna do what I do. I'm gonna keep making money at it. I'm gonna enjoy my life, and I'm not gonna be worried what other people are doing. That's kind of my take.
There you go. So let's talk about the market. Warren Buffett recently, there was an article. He withdrew all his stock portfolio, something like that, from all the airlines.
Yep.
And he said the worst didn't even start yet. So my question to you right now, what's better, Bitcoin to invest in or the market, in your opinion?
I don't invest in the market, and I invested in Bitcoin was at $13. So
$13.
yeah. So for you to ask me anything about Bitcoin right now, I'm okay. Would I buy it now? I'm going to buy real estate, honestly. If I don't have any money and I can buy as much as I can, and I'm going to make cash flow. If you buy $10,000 worth of Bitcoin, you're not making a cash flow on it. If you make $10,000 on, in the market, there's no cash flow on it. If I put $10,000 in real estate, I don't need to use the 10,000. I can, if I want to smoke it, I can. Go enjoy the 10,000. Don't use the 10,000 and buy as much real estate as you can. We don't need money to buy real estate, anyway, that's just my opinion. What do I know? I'm the village idiot. I'm just doing what I know best, and anyone can learn this shit if they just choose to.
There you go. No, it makes sense.
I don't want to give people advice that I can't back up. If I'm not doing it on a daily basis, I don't want to give advice on it.
That's it. You're not a hypocrite. You're transparent and very humble, man. Seriously.
Thanks.
No problem. So what inspires you every day? What inspires you to get better and better, or to get
other
back?
people's growth and success, man. It's not about me anymore. I just want to help as many other people as possible. I'm good. I could never work again and be totally okay. But I'd be dead in a year because, I'd probably buy 10 kilos of cocaine and be gone, because I just get so bored. I need to be stimulated. Like, all jokes aside, if I'm not stimulated, I self-destruct. So the best way to do that is by surrounding myself with great people, with people that really want to learn something, that are dedicated. And there's no better feeling than saying, Jimmy, I need these 9 things done, and you do 12. And, I see you get better and better. It's a good feeling. If you have kids, you understand it. You enjoy.
Absolutely.
You enjoy your journey with them. You see their growth, and you see how much better they're doing and how awesome they're doing. My son just graduated with a biomed degree. He was going to go into medicine. He wants to go into law. So it's just neat to help other people achieve the things that they want to achieve. It's just really cool.
There you go. We have Joe Frank once again. Will you consider buying a store that cash flows, which is considered a cash flowing asset?
Well, it depends on the store. And if there's only one tenant, it really depends. Retail scares me a little bit with, what's going on with Amazon and the world.
Office space.
Depends on the office space, man. Doctors will always need a place. Grocery stores are, there's always going to be a need for grocery stores. There's specific industry types that I would definitely do something with, but, I want stability. I'm too old to worry about volatility. I want something that I can just rely on. I don't want ups and downs.
Got it. So the best time to start real estate is now, because in 90 days, obviously, when somebody starts today, for example, they're not going to get a deal overnight. There's a process around it, like the popcorn effect. I don't know if you heard about the popcorn effect.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
Yes. For the people that don't know the popcorn effect, you take a bag of popcorn, you put it in the microwave. After 10, 20, 30, 40, 50 seconds, nothing pops. And most people quit during the first 50 seconds. And the same thing with real estate or sales, but it's not sales. It's actually the opposite of sales, because I come from the sales industry, right? And I learned from that, right? But after 50 seconds, pop, 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 same thing over here. So my point is, when somebody starts today real estate, in 90 days, it could be 6 months, that's when their popcorns are going to pop, right?
And it's having enough kernels of popcorn too. If you only work on one kernel of popcorn, it could never pop. You have popcorn that pops and it tastes like shit. You have popcorn that, they're hard and you break your teeth on it. So not every leaf can be light and fluffy and delicious. It's a numbers game. It really is. And you're right. Yeah.
There you go. So when this COVID deal is done and you could travel and the whole 9 yards, we know that you've been pretty much all around the world. Where's the first place you would go?
I think I have Thailand in my, I had Thailand in my book for this summer. I take 3 months off, and I travel every year. Yeah. The only year I took off was last year to put the membership site together. That was the only time I didn't travel. Yeah. That was the first time.
Go ahead. First time
since I was 16.
16.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And where's the best place you've been all around the world?
Wherever I am. No, best place is wherever I am. I've learned to just be grateful I don't ever want to be somewhere else. I'm exactly where I need to be. I only travel so I can eat different food and see different things and get stimulated in different ways. But I never want to be somewhere else. I'm always very happy to be exactly where I am.
There you go. And for anybody watching this video right now, this conversation right now, that wants to get involved in real estate or that wants to, whatever the case is, get some cash flow assets, basically buy real estate. What's your advice to them?
Get educated. Get someone that really gives a shit about your results. Learn as much as you can. Have an open mind. Just because you know something doesn't mean you actually know something. There's definitely ways of doing things that are better. I'm always trying to improve. I never think I have the best way. If someone has a better way, I'll definitely be open to it. So I think a sprinkling of skepticism is healthy, but if you have an open mind and are open to learning how to acquire assets, never using a nickel of your own money, I definitely have a lot to share. Again, if someone wants to just hear a couple seller calls and see the results on a weekly basis, go to sellercalls.com, and that'll get you signed up to some really cool stuff that I do on a weekly basis. Every Tuesday at 9 p.m. Eastern, I do some pretty cool things. I go into the psychology of what we're doing, and we get some ridiculous deals. Like we make millions from thin air every month. And I'm talking millions out of thin air just by flapping our lips and sending a couple emails. It's pretty fabulous. And we have no marketing costs whatsoever. You don't need any money at all to do this.
No mailing campaign, nothing, which I love.
I know that Jimmy, when we first met, he's like, I'm going to mail this, I'm going to get this list, I'm going to get that list. I'm like, you can do that, but you don't need it. And I don't know if you're still mailing, but you don't need to. There's no money necessary. If you're mailing, you're wasting your cash. Well, I'm sure there's great ways of making money doing it, but I have cheaper ways, which are zero. You can get cheaper than zero.
There you go. Joe Frank, well, before I ask that question, ladies and gentlemen, we have a couple of minutes left with the one and only Marco. If you have any questions, don't be shy. So, Joe Frank, how do I get involved with your program?
Just go to sellercalls.com and attend, or send a DM to me. I don't know. Follow me on Insta. Insta is like a full-time job, and I know I should be way better at it. So if you just DM me on Insta, I'll send you some stuff. Just follow me, DM me, and I'll be happy to send you some webinars that you can watch and get involved. I'd love to help you out. And I think at one point I'll be coming to Montreal and doing something with Nick and Jimmy, and doing a half-day class of some kind for those that want to get involved. But you can get involved right now if this is something that you want to do. And we actually have a class coming up on the 22nd, 23rd, and 24th of May, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. And if you do get involved now, you will get a deal within the next 90 days if you put the effort into it. If you do nothing, it'll take you longer than 90 days, obviously. But in a very short period of time, you can get a multi-unit, none of your money from Montreal or wherever you are, Hong Kong, doesn't matter. Never leaving your living room, forbidden to use your own money, not a dollar in marketing cost.
There you go. 2 months. How would you buy an asset with any money? I think he missed the beginning of the call.
It's the secret is really asset-based. It's twofold. It's asset-based lending coupled with buying it at the right price. So just rewatch this, or hop on a webinar, or DM me, and I'll give you a webinar that'll really break it down step by step so you really understand it.
Beautiful. And I think you already answered this, but Canada versus USA, what's the big difference in real estate? Obviously, the cap rates are way low here in Canada. It depends on the area. Let's say Montreal. Toronto is like it's a 2 cap maybe.
Yeah.
But what's the
really
main
money.
difference?
It's volume and money. Money's easy to get. Properties are easier to find.
In the USA now.
100%.
Of course. Okay.
Yeah, finding a 10 cap in Canada is almost impossible. We're creating 15 caps, 16 caps. We can get 30% cash on cash returns. I know it sounds impossible and hard to wrap your mind around it, but once you really understand it, it's not that hard to find. And we actually turn down some of those deals because they're not in the areas that we want. So there's 330 million people versus 30 million people in Canada. The money is so much easier to find. And you don't even need a social. You don't need. It's such a different economic environment. The taxes are better here. The money's worth more. Like, I don't know what to tell you other than if you live in Canada and you're paid in the U.S., if you're making 10,000 US a month, you can go a long way in Canada.
14.5, yeah, 1.4 I think.
Yeah, you do so much better. And 10,000 units that's 50 units, and you're making 50 grand, 10 grand a month. So at 50, you're already making more than 99% of most Canadians do, and that's after tax, by the way. So it's nuts.
Mercedes Kozlowski, that's your daughter, right?
Yes.
Just logged in. Hello.
Hey, Mercedes. Out of New York.
There you go. Okay, so I just blanked out, but I was going to ask you a very good question.
Why are you blanking out when my daughter goes on? I have a problem with this guy.
Perfect timing. Yes, I like it. So, do you want to close it up? I think we answered all the questions.
Sure.
If anybody has any more questions, don't be shy. We have maybe 1 minute left. Marco, the mic is yours.
Well, it was a pleasure, man. I always love seeing people that want to learn things. I appreciate you having me back on, and hopefully this time it is recorded. And if anyone has any questions on how to get involved in buying assets in the U.S. From Montreal, never leaving your living room, and using not one nickel of your own money, I will show you exactly how it's done step by step. And again, if you have an open mind, you'll see that this is pretty badass. It's pretty cool. Again,
so
it's not get rich quick. Not get rich quick. You have to put effort into it. It's like going to the gym every day. There's something that you have to do on a daily or every other day. Not a lot of time. 30 minutes is more than you need, to tell you the truth. If you put more time in, obviously you'll get there faster, but it's not a full-time job. It's a part-time gig, and you'll be surprised as to how much more money you can make, how much more money you can keep, because it's not how much money you make that matters. It's really what you keep. And you can have a lot of fun doing it, helping other people. And just DM me, and be happy to show you the ropes. And if you're willing to work hard and show up and invest in yourself, this is something you're really going to enjoy.
Beautiful. Is that new art right behind you? Is that something new?
No, this is actually old art. I'm redoing some things in my membership area, and that was the background that I had. So I have to put it back up and wear the same clothes that I had, so it's consistent.
Got it. Cool. Thank you for your time, Marco. Really appreciate it.
Pleasure, man. Thanks very much. Stay safe.
You too,
Thanks,
man.
everyone.
Thank you.
Take
care.
Bye, guys.